Welcome to the Security Accelerator podcast powered by Symbian, where each week we will discuss the latest innovations and emerging trends in generative AI for cyber defense. I am your host, Jason Kierstead. All right, today we're here with Markus Ludwig, the CEO of Ticura. We're going to talk a little bit today about threat intelligence and how it relates to generative AI. Welcome, Markus.
Hey, JK. So good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, it's great to be able to have these conversations with so many different security professionals and talk about the impacts of AI in their specific area. So before we get started, let's just kind of level set a little bit about threat intelligence and tell me really quickly, what do you do at Ticura? What problems do you solve for your customers?
Yeah, thanks. Mainly it's actually Ticura stands for Threat Intelligence Curation. This is how the name came to life. I think that makes more sense now. If you look up Spanish or Italian, Portuguese, old translations, you also come across a translation that says "I heal you," which is really nice, a nice side effect, right? So when it comes to threat intelligence, there is not just one source of truth. There are hundreds, thousands of threat intelligence sources, and the customers struggle to identify, being able to evaluate and integrate the right threat intelligence. What is the right threat intelligence that I now need, right? How do I ensure the quality is in the right, at the right maturity and so on? So we created an analytic solution that automatically creates a recommended set of threat intelligence sources out of more than 1,000 threat intel sources applied for its positive prevention, noise detection, and the signal, and so on, and then provide it to the customer in the right format for the product they use. So ideally, it's a no friction integration into whatever the security environment of the customer looks like.
That's really cool. And I know firsthand that that's a major challenge that especially large enterprises and MSSPs have is, there's so much threat intelligence available, dozens and dozens of paid feeds and hundreds of free open source feeds all over the place. And it's hard to know what's relevant, what's important, because you can't consume it all, because it'll bog down your detections and your SIM, right? So, being able to make those decisions is actually more challenging than you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially MSSPs, but also large organizations or even security solution vendors, right? Have to address so many upcoming threats, address so many different use cases, customers all across the verticals. How do we actually tailor down to a specific customer as an MSSP? And yeah, if you have that at your fingertips with just pressing two buttons, that's a nice pitch to do, right?
So on Security Accelerator, we focus a lot on the impact of AI in security. So if we think about this problem domain, threat intelligence, do you think that generative AI has a potential to help people operationalize their threat intel effectively?
Yeah, and we already see that. So maybe I go one step back. We always try to get automation into security, right? For the simple reason, the attack surface, the amount of digital event generator, the landscape of threats, everything is growing much faster than you can think of, right? And the only thing that does not grow is people. We don't have enough people, no matter where you look at when it comes to security. When talking about threat intelligence, if we look at that as the fuel of cybersecurity, or the fuel of security operations, it needs to be very easy, very relevant to security operations. And then it needs to allow automation all over the place. Now we know that some tasks are still not automated. It can't be automated. You have to have humans there. now lowering that barrier to understand threat intelligence, to really judge about threat intelligence. That is currently the state of AI, in my opinion, when it comes to operationalize threat intelligence. Make it super easy for humans to understand what's really behind that event, that security alert, that threat intel.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like automation's critical, and AI is only going to help us be able to do that more effectively. So if you look at automation in the SOC and this new category of AI SOC, where generative AI is being used to automatically investigate, curate, and respond to alerts in real time. How how is threat intelligence important to an AI SOC platform? Why is it important for the AI to be able to have access to that?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I see threat intelligence as the fuel of anything going on in security. And if you think about automating security operations, you also need one service that tells you what is the relevant threat intelligence, right? And that requires that you have to have a specialized AI agent that is trained on the right threat intelligence. I mean, it's always the same story. If you have the right data coming into an AI agent, you have the right information that goes out as to your security operations, to your automation. And that is an important fact, having the right information that an AI agent is accessing and using to arm your detection, your response. That is the beauty of having the right data and the essential key here. Yeah.
So let's pivot a little bit from operationalization to creation and investigation. So one of the things that I see again with large enterprises and also MSSPs that are ingesting a lot of threat intel is when they do have when they're privileged enough to have their own threat intel team in the first place, I should say. Um, those teams now have a lot of information available at their fingertips to hunt. Um, do you think that there's any opportunity for AI to be able to help them, let's say, extract patterns across intel and generate new intelligence? Not only from the threat intel they have, but also the signals that they have. All organizations have so many signals, but because they don't have the resources, both in technology and people, they're not necessarily able to go and create their own intelligence programs. Do you think that AI has the potential to help people be able to leverage the information they have to create intel?
Yes and no, I would say. At that point in time, what we saw is several attempts to use AI to generate threat intelligence is still to some degree unreliable. That means if you come out of the world of generating threat intelligence, you typically try to get a very, very low false positive rate. And when using especially generative AI, we still see a high chance for hallucination, for example. It is helpful, but I would say it's maybe 80-85% where we need it to have. You still have to have very good, trained, and very high quality threat intelligence at this point in time to make use out of that. The more power is currently behind translating threat intelligence into something human readable, human understandable, so that not only absolute threat intel experts understand what's going on, but also maybe a junior analyst, right? So, or someone who is not a super expert at threat intelligence. At that point in time, this is the more common use case. Make threat intel better understandable and accessible to analysts. Yeah.
So it's a tool it's a tool that Intel analysts use, but we're not ready to replace the analysts for a long time, in your opinion. That's what I'm
Yes,
hearing.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so another thing that I've been thinking about lately is we see a lot of focus on protecting AI as well as AI oriented attacks and AI being leveraged by threat actors to accelerate their operations. So when you think about those two things that are happening in the industry, both, okay, we need to protect our AI systems from these different kinds of attacks, like prompt injection, like model tampering, data exfiltration, and also protect from attackers who are leveraging it in ways that don't necessarily need us to change our defensive tactics, but we might need to be more responsive, more agile. So do you see either of these things impacting threat intelligence itself? Like, do you think that some of the provide, or maybe it already is, and I'm unaware? You have more visibility than me for sure. Are we seeing any impact in the Intel space from AI? Like, are there specific new indicators being discussed? Are there, you know, intelligence that's specifically saying, this attacker is using this AI toolkit? Is that anything that you've seen?
Yeah, there are quite some projects coming up and some threats that seem to be or are clearly powered by AI. I mean, it's think about a phishing campaign where you use AI to really have a very good tailored phishing email, right? Using that or to create a new warm you have, I think it was called Warm GPT and some other GPTs trained for that. It totally makes sense that the actors use AI to be faster, to be more sophisticated when generating threats. And what that does that mean for the defensive part for us? It means we have to be faster, and AI helps us to be faster on protecting and detecting threats. Um, Even what I also saw a lot is when it comes to simulating attacks before the attacker actually does that. Also in that area, we have to rely more and more on AI to be faster, to to simulate what the attacker might do. If you think about secure engineering or security by design in development, right? We always try to have things like threat modeling and think about, but it was mainly using, I don't know, spreadsheets and thinking about the top 25 Suns threats. Now we have to be more sophisticated, also thinking about the ways an attacker can break into an organization, and that requires us to use AI in the same manner.
Yeah, that's so. Have you seen anything? So when you have a report from, like, say, a worm GPT, or anything that's specifically calling out, I guess as the defender, we probably don't need to change our tactics, but it's important to be very aware of that's being used.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, exactly. I also think it does not mean that the whole it's not reinventing the wheel. It's more the speed and sophistication. Um, um, Other than that, we need to be faster and scale more and automate more. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts that our listeners should take away here? If they're more interested in this topic, where should they go to find out more information?
Yeah, about Ticura, of course, always welcome to visit our website. Other than that, I really think that RSA brought some very good topics to the table. I like the development or the trends for specializing in AI versus using marketing claims of AI. Now, really using AI for the things where it's good and not just using AI to use AI, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're definitely seeing this technology it's starting to become very real very fast. So it's no longer just a lot of hype, in my opinion. We're seeing really, really positive results from a lot of customers. So, a very exciting 2025 ahead, I think, in this
Yeah,
space. And Intel is going to be a critical part of that. So
it will be. Yeah, it is already. Thanks.
it already is. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you, Markus, for joining us today on Security Accelerator, and have a great rest of the week. And hope to
appreciate
have you
that.
back in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm really happy to attend anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. This has been the Security Accelerator podcast powered by Symbian. For more information on generative AI for cyber defense, visit us in our Slack community. You can find the link on our website at symbian.ai. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.